All right, so here we have a schema that we have declared and mapped it to a collection called quizzes, right? And the next step is to create a mongoose model that's going to give us some of the low-level generic functions for doing CRUD operations with this collection. So in the same directory for the quizzes, we're going to create a JavaScript file. We're going to call it quizzes.model.server.js. And in here, we're going to use the schema we just created. So we're going to load the mongoose library. And then load that schema we just created earlier. So const and load the quizzes schema. We're going to require the schema. It's in the same directory. So we just need to provide that file. And now we can create the quizzes model in terms of the mongoose library model. And this takes two arguments. The first argument is a unique identifier, right? That we can then refer to it later elsewhere in the application, right? So, but it needs to be a unique identifier, within the single instance of mongoose that we're using throughout the application. So I'm going to use the name quiz model, right? And then the second argument is the actual schema that we're going to be using to interact with the database. So this is the quizzes schema. Now this schema is going to be used for validation purposes, right? When to make sure that when we insert, when we update, when we delete, when we do any CRUD operations with the underlying collection, we're going to validate that the names of the fields are correct, that the data types are correct, right? And we're not going to allow any bad data to make it into a database, right? So there it is. So we're providing the schema for validation purposes, and then we're going to export this so that this can be used elsewhere in the application.